It was the night of the Halloween party, and 7 friends had gathered in an old, sprawling house just outside the city. The place had a reputation, stories of it being haunted, tales of strange noises and shadows moving in the dark, but that was exactly why they had chosen it. The perfect backdrop for a night of scares and laughter. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of popcorn, candy, and the faint scent of something old and decaying. The house creaked and groaned as if it were alive, but the friends, Jake, Lisa, Sarah, Tom, Ethan, Amanda, and Chris, were too busy laughing to notice. It was nearing midnight when the power cut out. The entire house plunged into darkness. "Is this part of the prank?" Amanda asked, giggling nervously. "Not me this time," Jake said, shaking his head. "I'll check the fuse box." He grabbed a flashlight and made his way into the basement. The rest of the group sat huddled together in the living room, waiting for the lights to come back. That's when they heard it, the soft sound of footsteps above them. Slow, deliberate. "Is that Jake?" Lisa whispered, her eyes darting toward the ceiling. "No," Ethan muttered, listening closely. "He's in the basement. Those steps, they're coming from upstairs." A cold silence fell over the room. Sarah stood up, her heart pounding. "Maybe someone's playing a trick on us," she suggested, though her voice trembled. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed through the house, followed by a dragging sound. Chris's eyes widened as he glanced toward the dark hallway that led upstairs. "We should check it out," Tom said, his bravado faltering. "Come on." Reluctantly, the group grabbed whatever they could find, flashlights, a fireplace poker, and a kitchen knife, and made their way upstairs. The staircase groaned under their weight, each step amplifying the pounding in their chests. As they reached the second floor, they saw it. In the flickering beam of Lisa's flashlight, there was a smear of something dark on the floor, a trail leading down the hallway to a partially open door. The air was thick with the metallic tang of blood. "Jake?" Amanda called out softly, but there was no answer. Without warning, the door creaked open wider, and a shape stepped into the hallway. It was a clown. But not the kind of clown that would make you laugh. Its face was smeared with cracking, ghostly white paint, smeared with streaks of red like blood. Its smile was wide, far too wide, and its eyes were dark hollows, lifeless and dead. The oversized red shoes were silent as it moved toward them, its yellowed, tattered costume stained and torn. In its gloved hand, it clutched a rusted knife, dripping with fresh blood. "Run!" Chris screamed, but before anyone could move, the clown lunged. The knife flashed in the dim light as it plunged into Tom's chest. He let out a choked gasp, his body crumpling to the floor as blood pooled around him. The clown stood over him, tilting its head with a sick curiosity, watching the life drain from his eyes before turning its gaze back to the others. Panic erupted. Sarah let out a scream and bolted down the stairs, with the others following, the sound of their footsteps echoing in the narrow hallway. But the clown was fast, unnaturally fast. It moved with a strange, jerky grace, its knife slashing through the air as it pursued them down the stairs. Amanda was the next to fall. She tripped at the bottom of the staircase, and before she could get back up, the clown was on her. The knife slashed across her throat in one swift motion, blood spraying across the walls as her body twitched and went limp. In the chaos, Lisa, Sarah, and Chris ran for the front door, but it wouldn't budge. The lock had been jammed, the windows barred. They were trapped. "We have to get to the basement," Sarah cried, her voice ragged with terror. "Jake's still down there." The three of them sprinted toward the basement door, yanking it open and plunging into the darkness below. They could hear the soft, mocking giggle of the clown behind them, its footsteps slow and deliberate, as if it was enjoying the hunt. The basement was damp and cold, the air thick with mildew. Jake was nowhere to be seen. Lisa grabbed Chris's arm, her fingers trembling. "We need to hide. Now." They scattered, each finding a corner or a closet to squeeze into, their breath shallow as they listened for the clown. The basement was quiet, save for the sound of their own pounding hearts. Then they heard it. The slow creak of the basement stairs as the clown descended, one step at a time, dragging its knife against the wall. The sound was maddening, a slow, deliberate scrape that sent chills down their spines. Chris was hiding behind an old shelving unit, his hand clamped over his mouth to keep from breathing too loudly. He could see the clown now, its silhouette moving through the basement, the dim light casting long shadows as it searched for its next victim. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. Sarah had tripped over a pile of old tools, the noise echoing through the basement like a death knell. The clown turned its head sharply, its empty eyes locking onto her. It moved with terrifying speed, the knife raised high as it descended on Sarah. She screamed, but it was cut short as the blade came down, again and again, the sound of flesh tearing filling the air. Blood splattered across the floor as her body went still, her lifeless eyes staring up at the ceiling. Chris and Lisa watched in horror, too paralyzed to move. The clown stood over Sarah's body, panting heavily, its grotesque grin stretching wider as it licked the blood from its knife. Then, without warning, it turned and looked directly at Chris. In a blind panic, Chris bolted from his hiding place, scrambling toward the basement door. He could hear the clown behind him, its breath rasping as it chased him, its knife gleaming in the dim light. He reached the door, fumbling with the handle, but it wouldn't open. The clown was right behind him now, its presence suffocating, the smell of death clinging to it like a shroud. Just as the knife came down, Lisa appeared, slamming a pipe into the clown's side. The creature let out a guttural growl, staggering back, but it wasn't enough to stop it for long. "Run!" Lisa screamed, shoving Chris toward the stairs. They ran through the house, dodging overturned furniture and the bodies of their friends, the clown's laughter echoing behind them. They reached the kitchen, Lisa frantically searching for a weapon, anything to defend themselves. But it was too late. The clown appeared in the doorway, its smile wider than ever, its knife dripping with fresh blood. Chris and Lisa backed into a corner, their eyes wide with terror. There was nowhere left to run. The clown raised its knife, the blade catching the light as it prepared to strike. And then the lights flickered back on. The house was suddenly illuminated in a sickly yellow glow, revealing the full horror of the massacre. The clown tilted its head, considering its prey, savoring the moment. With a final, mocking laugh, it lunged. The house, once filled with laughter and life, was now silent, save for the soft drip of blood onto the cold, wooden floor.